So I wanted to make a video today about something that's been on my mind only because it was so intense. I had a dream the other day, and I knew that this dream was from God because it was way too detailed and like realistic and over the top. Like the dreams that God gives me are very different from the dreams that are just like my nonsense, right? And so the dream he gave me was, I believe, just an answer to one of my prayers, which was um, if I was supposed to go back to a specific location, because a lot of people had been asking me like, "Hey, are you ever gonna move back to this area or whatever?" And I'd been thinking about it, but I I prayed about it, and I was like, "Oh well, God will let me know what I'm gonna do, right?" Because like I've said before, like God told me to move and where to move to, and that's what I did. And this dream stood out to me because I guess he had never done this with me, right? Now God's given me dreams where he'll show me very abstract concepts or like strange things, but he's never taken me somewhere else, if that makes sense. And so in this dream, he took me to see all like the seas and the oceans of the world, right? And it felt like I was flying, like if I was just flying over the ocean and I was able to see it, and like I was flying all over the place, and it was calm and it was very beautiful, and like I had never seen anything like it, right? Um and it was in such a way that I could almost see like the earth curve, but it was also I don't even know how to describe it. It was like so realistic. Like I don't know how it looks like when you're on a plane, right? Because I've only ever flown over land and stuff. But this was like life changing. Like I wanted to cry when I woke up, right? And it was like right as the sun was rising, and so there was like all these orange and gold hues like all over the sea, and I could see the waves going in and out of the shore, and it was amazing, right? It was beautiful. And I remember telling myself in the dream, I was like, "Oh, I need to remember this because this is from God," right? And so then he takes me back to where I had been praying about, like, "Hey, what's going to happen there? Do I need to go back, or like what's going on there?" Right? And so I'm getting closer and closer, and I could see the waves crashing into that part of the land. And immediately he like pulls me up. And it's crazy because I've had dreams where he does that, right? Well, he'll pull me out of something, or like he'll take me somewhere else. But this time it felt like violent, like no. And I was like, "Oh, okay, like what's going on?" And then he took me to one of the four corners of the earth, right? And when I say one of the four corners of the earth, I say it in the sense of he took me to an unreachable place. And God told me that when he means four corners, it's a place that no one could reach, or that we have great difficulty in reaching, right? And so the place, one of the four corners that he has taken me to, has been like um I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it. Like places where no one talks about God, places where there are no believers there, or no one even has a concept of that, or they've heard of it, but they don't know anything of it, right? And I knew that he took me to a four corner because he always represents it like a certain way to me. And I was like, "Oh, I'm in a four corner," right? And I'm in this hotel, and I become someone else. Like I know I'm like a Jezebel Babylonian kind of spirit or something. Because one, I like don't look like myself. Two, I'm like evil. I like want to harm people. And three, it's like there's like a maliciousness, predatory nature to how I'm conducting myself, right? And I'm getting ready. And I'm getting ready for an event. I'm putting this tight dress on, doing my hair, everything. And there's a mirror. And I remember I go to like the main room and my lover is there, right? And I know he's my lover because he's getting ready for the same event. He's like coordinating with what I'm wearing, and he's this young, handsome man. And in the dream, I just had a knowing that he was like a police officer or a government like employee or something like that, but something with like law enforcement and all that. And in the dream, I was like lusting after him, but I was aware that our relationship had not been solidified. I was aware that we were not married. I was aware that we had also not been intimate or like had some kind of like there was a sense of there was a boundary there. So like we had not meshed into one. And so I thought that was interesting, because the character I was grabbing him like this. And I also noticed that I was much larger than him. Um, and not that he was like small or tiny, like he was a good size, but I, as the woman, had like my clutches on him. And he was like looking at himself while he was like fixing his tie, putting his suit on and stuff. And I was just there, like, and that's when I knew I was like, oh, I'm evil. Like, I'm evil in this dream. Like, and there was like a playful sort of malice to me. Like there was a desire to possess, right? And I I didn't even kiss him or nothing. Like it was more like it was weird because it felt more like I want to possess what this person represents, and maybe not actually them, right? And then I got the realization that we are going to a wedding. And I was like, oh, we got to go, whatever, we're ready. And everyone that was going to this wedding was there in the same like resort or whatever. And I remember we all went like to the lobby. We were all walking outside on the patio and stuff to like this back area where it was tropical, and like all I remember is how big the leaves were. And I just remember like thinking to myself, like, oh, they're going to be surprised at who's getting married. And then I woke up. And like when I woke up, I was like, oh yeah, Jesus and the bride, right? But it was weird and I didn't know what to think of it, right? So this morning I'm driving around and I'm coming back home, and I was like I hadn't put together that I was like a Jezebel kind of Babylon spirit in the dream, right? It wasn't until I realized like, oh, what the Lord is trying to say is like that there's a merger between crime and law enforcement, but it hasn't been officiated. And these two will be the two witnesses to an officiated wedding, right? And that blew my mind because obviously everyone always thinks that the surprise witnesses, or the two witnesses in the Bible are going to be, who is it that everyone says, Moses and Enoch, or Ezekiel and Elijah, or like everyone has their take on it. But like when I had this epiphany, it was like just a different take on it, right? Like, um not necessarily that these people are going to be the two witnesses that that are going to have the powers to speak plagues and, um all that stuff. But but it's kind of not far fetched, right? Because I believe in the Bible it says, oh, these two witnesses will have the power to speak plague and call fire from heaven. And like, not to be a conspiracy theorist or anything, but like what happened in Hawaii or whatever, um, what's been happening with COVID, like one could construe those as being those powers, right? And I was just like, it's strange how flexible, the interpretation of the Bible can be. And that's why we have to be very careful in interpreting it. And, I've never, I don't feel like anyone will know when the rapture comes or anything like that. Like, I was talking about it with one of my coworkers. He was like, I think it's almost an insult to even attempt to try to, place the date on it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I agree with you. But I also feel like if you truly love Christ, you'll have an impression of what's going on, right? You'll have an impression to be ready so that you're not taken off guard. And so the other day when I released that word where I said, God told me not to worry about what was going to happen because I was going to be asleep when it happened, um, I remembered that He comes like a thief in the night, right? And when do thieves in the night come? When you least expect it, when you're sleeping. And so I was like, like, here, he's already said this in the Bible, and he just gave me like, um, some more words on it. But today I thought it was interesting because it kind of ties into the two become one and one becomes two word that I gave the other day, in the sense that there is going to be a very powerful merger that is going to come to pass. And I'm not sure, like, I don't know if it's Jesus and the elect. I don't know if it's, um, another foreign power I'm not familiar with labeling, right? Because multiple times it has been shown to me in different ways, but this is the first time that I see like the spirit of Babylon and the spirit of like law enforcement as guests to the wedding. And it looks like they want to be there. It looks like they were invited. It looks like, they know who it is that's going to get married. So that's why it's so confusing. And I mean, I'm going to pray about it some more and hopefully I get some more enlightenment, because I actually had this dream yesterday. And then today, um, I didn't really I didn't really dream much, like, and what I did dream, I knew it was me like defragging my day. And, but it was on my mind. It was on my mind today because the word yield, tread slowly, kept popping up to me. And then I was like, it's so crazy that God answers us like exactly when we need it. Like, I really need to know, okay, do you want me to go to this location, to that location, da da da? And then he gives me the dream where he's like, no, I'm going to pull you away from that and I'm going to make you watch this. And so I was like, is he telling me that perhaps I have to stay where I am so I could see what this merger is? Or like, am I a guest to this wedding also? I mean, I was there in a Babylonian perspective, right? In the Babylon the Great perspective, but I was also like, but I knew I wasn't her in the dream. Like, I knew I was just seeing it through her eyes, but I mean, she looked completely different. Her hips were much more narrower, she's much thinner than me, like everything. And I have no idea what this merger is. And I'm going to keep praying on it, right? Um, but I do think there's going to be a big, big alliance that is going to take place. Um, and we should be on the lookout for that because we don't know how this is going to affect us or if this will aid in, you know, the timeline of Revelation, right? Something else that I wanted to say was there are like storms happening in where the path of totality was. And I don't know if y'all know this, but there's like this Schumann resonance thing that supposedly is fueled by the lightning strikes and the electromagnetism and all that stuff. Plus, with the alignment, like, I do believe we're going to see a lot more natural disasters because I don't think science has gone so far as to explore what these fluctuations can do to the earth, right? And if none of y'all saw the eclipse the other day, I'm going to go ahead and upload a video on that. I was able to see it for a little while. My job let us go outside. And it was, wow, it was amazing. It was beautiful. It got so cold and so dark so fast. Like, it was crazy. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to release that dream to you. And if y'all have any ideas on what it means, let me know. Because there's a wedding that's going to take place, and apparently, even the people in the four corners of the earth are going to bear witness to it too. So make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.